Red Shadow's Aerial Assault Wolf Trooper by the company Skeletron. This is a retro-inspired action figure based on Action Force Red Shadows and 1980s G.I. Joes. What this is, it's an O-ring constructed action figure, which means that inside the torso, the figure's constructed with an O-ring holding the figure together, and that allows you to articulate the figure. Now, before I get into the review for this one, what I will say is I think this company deserves an award for the artwork that's on this card. Anybody who's collected G.I. Joes before will know that this artwork perfectly represents what G.I. Joe used to put on their cards back in the 1980s. Even on the back, if we have a look on the back, you'll see some bios for the figure itself. Now you'll notice two bios on there. The reason for that is that this figure, being the Wolf Trooper, it also converts into the Skeletron. Now Skeletron is the leader of the Red Shadows. Again, if you're able to read those bios on there, it's nice that they've put them on there, because with these being heavily based on the G.I. Joes from the 1980s, you used to collect those figures and cut those bios off the back of the card and keep a hold of them. Now they would be the biographies of the figures that you would get inside the box. So you'll see all of the parts and all of the accessories that this figure comes with, and that allows you to convert this Wolf Trooper into Skeletron. So just a quick comparison showing the card that this figure comes on. This is the HasLab Sky Striker Cobra Commander, and you can see what Skeletron have done here with the artwork on their card. You can put these two side by side and they look fantastic next to each other. He comes loaded with accessories. So you can see the Skeletron head, you can see the Wolf Trooper helmet. He comes with a power sword, a rifle, a handgun, and also a handheld blade device. He's got a jetpack and a figure stand. The details in the paint are just flawless for this one. You can see all the little details as the light catches the design and how things have been sculpted into this figure. A little knife sculpted onto the side of that armor plate that's on his trousers there. You can see how much effort they've put into this figure, just by all the little designs that's in there. The more you look at it, the more you see things that you didn't see the first time. And he feels really nice as well. So you can feel that the plastic that they've used is more of a premium quality. It's not cheap. It doesn't feel, you know, for a small figure, he's obviously light, but he doesn't feel like cheap. He doesn't feel, you know, you get some figures where they just feel cheap, and they feel light, because, you know, he doesn't feel like that. He feels premium. Here's the helmet that he comes with. There he is with his helmet on. He's about to go and pilot the Robo Skull. Now with this helmet, it's a nice fit. It's not loose. It's not gonna fall off. You're gonna have to apply quite a bit of pressure on there to pull that off. And it's the same with the jetpack. Again, look at the sculpt, look at the details that they've sculpted into that jetpack. Now you can see on the back there's some holders there, so you can really load this figure out with the accessories that he's came with. And what you'll do is you'll just take the sword. Now everything takes a little bit of force to get things in. Now that's not a bad thing, because you know that these things aren't just going to fall out. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll take the sword and then you'll just give it a bit of a push. Okay, you can see a bit of friction there. But like I say, that's not a bad thing. It just means that when you're moving him around, everything isn't just going to fall off, you know. You know that once you put things in place, they're going to stay in place. And you're not going to be picking them up one day off your shelf and think, where's that gone? You know it's dropped on the floor. You know that once it's in, it's in. And then with this double-bladed dagger, that looks lethal. Okay, what you're going to do is that's going to fit over the top of the sword. All of his accessories, he can be loaded out with everything that he comes with. So nothing's just lying about to spare. He's going to be taking everything into the war zone as it attaches onto this jetpack. There he is with an assault rifle. And there he is with his handgun. Now before I get into any articulation, I will show you this first of all. These figures do have wrist swivel. Now you never used to get them on old 80s G.I. Joe figures. You weren't able to articulate the wrists and turn the wrists, but you can on these. And there he is as Skeletron, the leader of the Red Shadows. Now I've converted this off camera. What you'll need to do to convert him is he does have a screw in the figure's back. And again, if you're familiar with G.I. Joes, what you'll do is you'll need a screwdriver to take the screw out of his back, the figure will come apart, and then what you'll do is you'll replace the head, put him back together, and there you have your Skeletron action figure, leader of the Red Shadows. I don't think there's anything more 80s or anything more menacing than Skeletron. If you collect G.I. Joes, or you collect, you know, retro inspired or retro figures, this figure is a must have. You're missing out if you don't pick this figure up. He's so much fun. And he goes so well with your G.I. Joe collection. You know, you put him in your G.I. Joe collection and he fits perfectly. I'm not going to be doing too many size comparisons, but what I will do is I'll fetch in Cobra Commander. Now, this Cobra Commander is the new Hasbro Cobra Commander that came with Duke in the Duke 2-pack. But this is what he'll look like stood next to your Cobra Commander figure. Now what you've got there is the United Nations. You've got Cobra Commander who leads the Cobra Troopers, and he's in a meeting with the Red Shadows leader Skeletron. And yeah, what they're discussing is going to be detrimental to the world as we know it. This Skeletron is just a fantastic figure. Like I said before, if you collect these type of figures and you don't have this one, you are missing out. Now this company, they do sell out very fast, so they keep putting these figures online. They keep updating their stock, but then they sell out again, and then they'll update the stock, and then they'll sell out again. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know how long they're going to keep doing that. But if you don't have this figure, I would advise to get yourselves over and pick him up. For articulation, he is an O-ring action figure, so his construction contains a rubber O-ring inside the torso that holds the figure together, and it allows you to articulate the figure. Okay, so it'll sit inside there. I don't really know if I can show you. It's not really picking that up, but the O-ring sits inside there. His shoulders and arms are single jointed. Again, he's a retro inspired action figure, so he moves very much like the 80s G.I. Joes, with a little bit of updated articulation, such as the wrist swivel. He has bicep swivel. And he does come with a stand, but you have no issues standing these up. Once you get them in place, they will stand. Here's a size comparison comparing these two Skeletron figures with some 1980s G.I. Joe figures. And you can see that they do scale very well with your G.I. Joe collection. So if we compare the build quality with these new Skeletron figures against the original G.I. Joe figures, they do feel different and they do look different as well. It's because they're made from a different plastic. The original G.I. Joes were made from an ABS plastic, which is a much harder plastic, but the issue there is when you're switching accessories out and you're putting these figures on these stands with the foot pegs, because their feet and their hands were made from a harder plastic being ABS, you would run into issues where you would break the thumbs off or the feet would break. Whereas with these new Skeletron figures, their hands and their feet, they're moulded in a PVC plastic. Now that's a much softer plastic compared to ABS, and it allows a lot more flex. So when you're putting weapons in their hands, their thumbs are able to move and grip the weapon, whereas the original G.I. Joes, they weren't able to do that. So you would run into issues where you would snap the thumbs, you would get breakages at the elbows, you would get breakages at the feet. But with these new Skeletron figures, because they're built with a different plastic, they have been upgraded in that sense. So you're not going to break these figures as easily as what you would break the original G.I. Joes. You can see as well with the quality of the plastic, they do look different. So the original G.I. Joes, they have a much more of a shiny finish to them. And that's because of the plastic that was used. The Skeletron figures have a much more matte finish to them. Now this chest piece, I believe that this chest might be ABS, whereas the hands are made from PVC. But again, the finish on the figure, it is a lot different to what we got with the G.I. Joes. If you're a G.I. Joe collector, then absolutely pick some of these up. I've put some links in the description for Skeletron and for Grindstone toys. What these companies are doing and the figures that these are making are absolutely amazing. I don't have enough good things to say about these. Follow them links in the description and add some of these Skeletron figures to your collection.